Alright, what's up, guys? Alright, so today we're going to be talking about Luciferianism. Now, specifically, I wanted to talk about Luciferianism from a non sinister point of view. Now, if you consider yourself a Luciferian, you've probably consumed a lot of literature, a lot of books, a lot of YouTube videos coming from people like Michael W. Ford, which are these are like Asimov Mason, and if you were into like some of the stuff from a couple of years ago, like E.A. Coetting and so on, right? And when you read their book, when you consume their content, you can clearly see they're coming from this sinister point of view where Luciferianism is practically indistinguishable from Satanism. In this case, specifically, theistic, sinister Satanism. Because, for instance, like the atheistic Satanists, which are not theistic, aren't necessarily sinister either. They don't really have anything in their literature, in their doctrine, that is sinister per se. The whole Satanist image is more of an aesthetic, and when you look at their ethics and stuff, they're actually quite ethical. There might be some people that would see something different. I forgot who it was. I forgot his name. He's an atheist. Was a little upset with the whole idea of how you call teabagging that Christian lady's grave or something. I forgot who she was. The one that's a part of the Christian church that is like super bigoted, and they hold up signs like they hate the figs or whatever. When I say figs, I hope you know what I mean. I just don't want to say it. All right, but point is, there's a lot of different denominations within Satanism and Luciferianism, and there's straight up wicked ass people that believe Satanism from a criminal standpoint, where in order to be a Satanist, you actually have to be evil and do all of these crimes. And you like these are the type of people that are like, hey, yeah, freaking murder and do everything, right? And now the thing is that when you separate Luciferianism from Satanism, because Satanism is distinct from Luciferianism, but in these circles they sort of start to blend together because they happen to be both. So their Luciferianism is informed by their Satanism, and their Satanism is coming from this sinister, I am wicked, enemy of faith, enemy of the saints, enemy of the this and the that. And, they come from this sinister point of view. But Luciferianism, at its pure state, isn't sinister, and it isn't, what's it called? Satanism. So Satan is. Uh, and even Satanism itself isn't that sinister either. It just is just this particular viewpoint, this particular denomination that comes at it from that perspective. So, very quickly, I'll just run over Satanism. From my perspective, Satan isn't necessarily evil and isn't supposed to be this thing where, in order to adopt teachings of Satanism, you have to be wicked or whatever. Satan is just the adversary. So, Satan is obviously a Christian concept and an idea from Christianity. Um, when you look at the actual literature in the Bible, Satan isn't considered necessarily evil, and the only times that Satan does something very wicked is because God either told him to or gave him permission to for the sake of figuring something out, like the story of Job, where God's like, hey, do all the stuff to Job, and I bet that Job is going to continue being super gay for me, even if you do all these bad things. And then God's like, hey, you do all these things, but you don't touch his skin. And later on, he's like, yeah, whatever, touch his skin. And, and Christians see this as this, like, oh, Job was so good and blah, blah, blah. And he continued loving God no matter what. Meanwhile, God literally killed his entire family and all of his animals and took his, like, wealth and destroyed his appearance by allowing things to grow on his skin and all of this. And somehow this is considered this awesome story about how God proved that Job was like a real one. Personally, I'm like, hey, how about you don't do all these things to me? If I'm truly the real one and I'm like, super for you, maybe you should like not allow those types of things to happen to me, or else what's the point of me serving you, right? Like none of the deities that I worship would allow this type of stuff for me. Not saying that it's impossible for bad things to happen to me, but the whole point is that they protect you and don't allow those things to happen to you. But you also got to remember the fact that this part of the Bible is written after the Yahweh cult has already took hold, and they've pretty much already genocided the majority of the people that worshipped the older gods, the gods of the Elohim, and the rest of the Canaanite pantheon. So I personally come from this Christian perspective, but or Jewish perspective, but this is before Christianity and Judaism became what it currently is, right? So from Christianity, I am more of a mystic, more of a Gnostic, but even Gnosticism, there's a lot of different formats. There are Gnostics that believe that the Bible, the God of the Bible, is the devil. There are Gnostics that believe that the physical reality, this physical body is corrupted, everything is corrupted, and we're pretty much in a prison planet, so on and so on. But I don't want to get too deep into all of that. I just need to give you the preamble, give you the background. So when it really comes down to Lucifer and Luciferianism, at its purest form, Lucifer is supposed to be considered the good guy. Turning it into this sinister thing is actually going in the opposite direction. It's actually playing into the Christian narrative that Lucifer is evil and he's this fallen angel that raged against God and started this war. And he is pretty much prideful and sinful, and he corrupts humanity and all of this. And from my perspective, Lucifer is none of that. And we see that through some of the literature, but some of the literature about Lucifer isn't necessarily written by practitioners that are Luciferian. It's more of like philosophical, psychological type of stuff, like Paradise Lost and I forgot the name of the book that's like about um Adam and Eve eating the fruit and so on. Now, here's the thing. Lucifer, from my perspective, is more of a Promethean type figure. Lucifer's intention is not to corrupt you and to take you away from God, but rather to show you that there is a state of true freedom, autonomy, and sovereignty, where it's not that you're not allowed to worship God, it's that you worship God from this perspective where you are free to do so, where you're not God's slave. The ultimate goal, the ultimate teaching of Lucifer is that you are your own God. And all of these deities and saints and angels and demons and whatever it is that you worship or work with are a part of your pantheon, but ultimately you are the head of the pantheon. You are your own God, because all of these different components, all of these different entities are manifestations of God, but you are equally a manifestation of God. So if you are a manifestation of God and all of these entities are manifestations of God, then there is no real separation between you and these entities, and there is no above or below. Now, personally, do sometimes look at certain entities from a dualistic perspective where I place the entity above me, like with Santa Muerte. I think it's a little disrespectful to put myself in this state where I am pretty much working with Santa Muerte, but I'm seeing myself as above. Um, but this is just because this particular tradition and culture sees it that way, and I'm trying to follow it the way that the tradition is originally formatted, where Santa Muerte is pretty much above you. She is death itself. She is this natural force, and the only thing above Santa Muerte would be God. In my perspective, that would be Yod He Vav He, or Ein Sof, the unmanifested. from a more Catholic perspective, you would probably start using names like Yahweh or Jehovah or whatever it may be. Now, the thing is this: going back to Lucifer, Lucifer, from its purest form, Lucifer is more of an entity that wants to show you that you are your own God, that you are true, that you need to reclaim your spirit, your soul, and be your own person and think freely, which means that when God does good things, you are free to say, hey, that's a really cool thing, I like that, like, this is an awesome God. But also when God does bad things, you can also say, hey, that was a very crappy thing to do. I don't follow that. I think you were wrong to do that. And a lot when it comes to Christianity or other religions, being able to say, hey, God, you were wrong about this thing, this is sort of taboo and it shouldn't be. And from a Luciferian standpoint, you should be able to do that. You should be able to say, hey, all of these other things are really cool, but that whole genocide, infanticide, and structuring the rules around slavery, how about no? How about don't do that? That was kind of crappy. You're kind of a douchebag for doing all of that. But if you keep reading in the Bible, things start to change. So hey, that's cool. But the Bible also says that God is the same in the beginning and the end. So this God is still the same God that did all of that. This is the same God that accepted human sacrifice and blood sacrifice and animal sacrifice and so on and so on. Now, so from a Luciferian perspective, if you're not going down this sinister pathway, then you would start seeing Lucifer as what it truly is, which is love. It's true love. It's Lucifer is the type of God. I would perceive him as a God, but or a manifestation of God. But it's the manifestation of God as true love, where it's like, I love you so much that even though I'm God, I will allow you to challenge me. I will not force you to worship me. I will not punish you for walking in a different direction than the one I told you to walk in. Lucifer is more about saying, you are truly free. And if that means that you separate from me and go another route, that is your right, because I truly love you and you are truly free. You have true autonomy, true sovereignty, where you get to choose exactly who you want to be and what path you're going to walk, and if you're going to carve yourself a brand new, completely different path, and you don't need to do what I tell you. Lucifer, coming from this Promethean standpoint, where Lucifer challenges the gods on your behalf. Lucifer fights against tyranny on your behalf. And we could get into the magical stuff later, but this is the ultimate core of Luciferianism, where you are to gain true love, true freedom, true sovereignty, true autonomy, and that's pretty much the whole shtick. That's the whole thing right there. Um, now, if now Lucifer is also this idea of true knowledge and wisdom, so I would characterize it as Da'at in the Tree of Life, which is Bina and Chakma united, which is understanding. It's understanding and knowledge and pretty much wisdom. So from this pure Luciferian standpoint, what you're going to see is true followers that truly understand it. Are you going to see is this well-roundedness, right? It's a well-roundedness where you are training your body to be strong and flexible and agile and fast, and you're training your body to be able to perform under pressure, to be able to fight, to be able to fight in all sorts of ways, whether it be hand-to-hand combat, weapons, whether those weapons are blunt or sharp, or projectiles, firearms, so on and so on. Then you're also seeing that once you get the kinetic training out the way, then you're going to see intellectual training, where you're studying philosophy, psychology, sociology, history, anthropology, sciences, mathematics, engineering, and so on. You're trying to become your the Ubermensch. You're trying to become the highest, the pinnacle of humanity, your highest potential, where you're not only training your body to the extreme, but you're training your intellect to the extreme. And then you're also getting into the emotional intelligence, where you're combining some of these intellectual studies of psychology and sociology and philosophy, and then you're adding this emotional component, where you are able to see and read people on a level that can only be seen through um, uh, empathy, where you're not necessarily feeling the person's emotion, but you're aware of it. You can understand that energy, which allows you to be able to have a conversation that's deep with someone and fully understand how they feel in that moment, and being able to use that to help them help yourself, and just be aware, right? You have your physical, your intellectual, your emotional, and then going super, super hard on the spiritual. So, from the spiritual perspective, you're going to be doing all of these things that would make you a mystic. So, all of these meditations and rites and rituals and everything, prayer and everything that allows you to move into this mystical state of mind, where your intuition is sharp and your ability to predict things is sharp, and um, and your ability to perceive things not of this world. So if you're at that point where you can perceive spirits with all five senses, um, without entering a altered, without entering a alternate reality. So it's possible to sort of fall into a meditative state, and now you're in a different location and you're able to witness things in that location, but this location is sort of happening in your mind or in some other type of dimension. But I'm talking about being sitting here, you're in the middle of a ritual, and you see a glimpse of the spirit, and the spirit puts its hand on your shoulder, and you can feel its hand on your shoulder. You can feel it's present. You can feel it physically. You can see it when it whispers. You can hear its voice. You can even smell it. Sometimes it might smell like soil, like very rich soil, or it might smell like a fire. It might smell like this, like that. Sometimes you can even taste it. I had an experience where I was communing with God, and at a point I had a question, and I can't really put my finger on what the question was, but I felt God's presence in front of my face, and it kissed me. And at first my mouth filled up with the taste of sugar and sweetness. Everything was sweet, all throughout my mouth. My mouth was watering, and then like a split second, it changed, and it felt like my mouth was filled with blood. And this is experiencing this taste that is spiritual in nature. When you're able to see, hear, smell, taste, feel these entities, these spirits, these gods and goddesses and deities, spirits, saints, angels, demons, so on and so on, then you're moving into this state where you're perceiving things beyond the average, right? So this is this mystical component, and then we have the esoterical component, but the esoterics is going to be very steeped in the philosophy of the mysticism. So this is a combination of spirituality and intellect, and at times emotional intelligence as well, because some of these things work with that aspect of the self. And then we have the occult aspect, which is the actual magic, where you're performing rituals with actual intentions in mind, where I'm doing this specifically so that I can get this amount of money, and I'm going to use that money for these particular things, and I'm going to so on and so on and so on, right? So, um when you're getting into the magic, we're talking about the goetic magic, the angelic magic. We're talking about the ars goetia, the ars paulina, the we're talking about all of these other different forms of magic that you're going to see within the Solomonic traditions and Kabbalistic traditions. We're talking about planetary magic and what's it called, elemental magic, and so on. And there's just so many different facets of it. Personally, this is the way that I do it. Like I do my magic. I have access to 72 demons, 72 angels, 74 saints, Santa Muerte, the four elements, the planets, right? You got your planetary magic. And then we have things within this realm that are uh, influenced or uh, um, mixed with a little bit of hoodoo and spiritismo, because spiritismo is kind of where I get my saint magic from. And for if spiritismo, you're gonna see some similarities between like lacume, ife, what's it called, hoodoo, Santeria and stuff like that. But to my knowledge, Spiritismo is not a closed practice. So something like Santeria and Lakumi, Ifa, all of these things, these are closed practices. So I would not suggest you do any of them, unless you're gonna go get actually initiated and do that. But then this is like a lifelong thing. Like this is a big deal if you're gonna get into that, right? But Spiritismo is something you can sort of pick up and just start doing. And yes, there's some pretty good stuff on Spiritismo, or yeah. Um, but Spiritismo is going to allow you to work with all these saints, and there's a lot of candle magic there, and that is pretty useful. But then we have all of these elements from the hoodoo, which, to my knowledge, is also not a closed practice. You could do Spiritismo and hoodoo, and you can take those elements and bring them into your Solomonic ceremonial magic. So like I've done ceremonial magic where I've done like a Saturn ritual in order to make a witch's jar, a protective witch jar, and that witch's jar contained some elements, some ingredients that are from hoodoo, like black destroyer oil, and like I've done things where I've used gopher dust, right? But I'm using these elements that are folk magic, but I'm using it within my ceremonial magic. So like the ceremonial magic is the big spectacle, but I'm using components of these things, right? So now from a Luciferian standpoint, um, this makes me a well-rounded individual that is fully embodying the idea of Luciferianism, which is me trying to achieve my maximum potential, physically, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, and and then also not losing myself in all of this by still trying to be um, economically blessed. I can't. Sometimes we get so spiritual that we completely forget about our the economics of being alive, the like of being successful. And I'm trying to be successful at least enough to the point where I have enough money for all of my bills and all of the things that I want and need. and enough to be able to save a little bit for the future. You don't have to be a freaking billionaire, right? But if you're making enough money that you're living very comfortably, you have enough food for to eat the amount that you want to eat, and you're able to do everything you want to do and need to do without much resistance, like economics isn't getting in your way. And for me, this is me writing books and making music, publishing books and publishing music, and doing art, like my pen art and my oil paintings, like you know and some of my more mystical services, like reading tarot and you know. Now I don't make tons of money off of this stuff, but hopefully one day I will start getting blessed for all of this stuff, right? Making actual good money, with all of these endeavors. Now, from this Luciferian point of view, I am trying to self actualize. I am trying to be a well rounded individual. I am trying to be at the peak of my game in all of these different areas. And this is what Luciferianism is all about from a non sinister perspective, where Lucifer isn't wicked. He is the good guy. He is the righteous one. He is he's the one that is trying to show you what true love from a deity is. He's the one trying to show you what true freedom is, what true autonomy and sovereignty is, and the understanding that you don't need to be righteous, but you also don't need to be wicked. You don't need to force this idea or this vision, this viewpoint onto yourself, where, oh, I want to do this thing, but I am a Satanist, therefore I need to be wicked, so I can't do that. It's gonna make me look like a non true Satanist, right? Like, you don't have to do all that. You don't also have to be righteous, where, oh, I want to do this thing, but that's a sin, and I need to be righteous, so I need to stop myself from doing these things, and blah blah. Like, you don't need all of that. Just be yourself. If the thing, like, pretty much no matter what you do, there's going to be groups of people that think it's righteous. There's going to be groups of people that think it's wicked, regardless of what you do. Like, I've heard people, like, I heard an imam. He's like a Muslim dude. He said that a man that murders, rapes, and does all these terrible things, but he prays 5 times, is better than the man that doesn't do any of those things, but doesn't pray. Right? So, according to this guy, like, all you have to do is pray 5 times a day, and you can murder as many people as you want, and you're totally fine and cool and dandy. Right? And from this Luciferian point of view, this is a trap. Right? Like, this is you, like, people that believe stuff like that are taking religion in a way where they're convincing themselves that good things aren't good and bad things aren't bad. And I have my problems with the idea of good and bad, because, like, what makes good good and what makes bad bad, right? So, but that's a little more philosophical, so we'll do that on another day. But the thing is, when you convince yourself that you're righteous, even though you're doing horrific things, you're sort of trapping your mind and your spirit, and you're becoming something that just doesn't fit, like, what you think you are. Like it's like you think you're cool, but you're actually kind of a dick. So from this Luciferian perspective is more about being aware of all of these topics, because if you're very familiar with philosophy, you're going to be very familiar with ethics, and you're going to be very familiar with what being what's right action and bad and wrong action actually is. So from this Luciferian perspective, you would actually be more ethically correct, more ethical, because from this Luciferian perspective, you're going to be aware of what makes good good and what makes bad bad, and more importantly, what is truly beneficial for you and others. And what is detrimental for you and others, and how to characterize it. Where does this actually come from? Well, the reason I believe this action is good or beneficial for me and you is because when I perform this action, this is the result. This is the actual thing that comes of it. And this result is measurable. I can tell that this result is actually beneficial for me and others, because of the way it affects us, right? So, success or beneficial outcomes is the proof that the action is actually good. Whereas these other religious point of views, including sinister, Satanism and Luciferianism, it's not really about the outcome, it's about the ideal. It's about the way you look doing it, not what actually comes out of it's not about the result, the consequence or the result of what you're doing. It's about the way you look doing it. So sometimes, like from a Christian perspective, it's not really about the results of your prayer, it's about how holy you look while you're praying. And from the sinister point of view, it's not about the results of the working, it's about how wicked and sinister and demonic you look while doing it. And all of this is just a trap. It's a narrative that keeps you in this limbo state where you're not really achieving anything. You're looking cool to your particular group. And from a true Luciferian perspective, none of that matters. What really matters is the results. Like, are you actually benefiting? Are your friends and families and your people actually benefiting from what you're doing? And are you actually achieving your maximum potential? Are you actually getting stronger and flexible, more faster? Are you actually becoming more skilled at your sport? Are you becoming a better fighter, a better warrior? Are you becoming smarter? Are you becoming more intelligent emotionally? Are you producing? Are you actually creating literature and art and music and all of these things? Are you actually creating and putting this creation out and having it be consumed by people and building wealth off of people consuming your material? Are you actually putting together at real magical workings that are producing successful results, that are giving you the things that you're actually desiring? Are you achieving your desires? Are you achieving your goals? Are you actually obtaining the materials, the actual physical stuff that you want? Did you put together some magical working, and out of that magical working actually get your housing? Which that's what I did. I put together my magic, and I ended up getting this awesome apartment. The apartment is super modern. It looks dope by my standards. And one of the things that I really wanted was I wanted one of those air conditioners that are plugged in, that are like in the wall, and the air conditioner is also a fan and a heater, and it has the energy saving mode, so you're not wasting a lot of electricity. And that's exactly what I got. I got an awesome view of my city, because I'm on the seventh floor, so I have an awesome view. I have, this device that allows me to save money on electricity, but I'm also, able to heat and cool down my house, so the temperature is always perfect for me. I'm allowed to put up art on my walls, so I have all types of art on my walls, and I'm getting more stuff soon. I have everything I need. I have everything I need. I have my altar. I have all of my books. I have all of my stuff. Uh, like, I put together this working so that I can have my housing, and I got my housing. I got enough money to afford all the food that I want, because I eat a lot, because I'm trying to get a little more jacked, right? So, I'm able to, I have enough time now to train the way that I want to train and do all of the martial arts stuff and sit down and spend a couple of hours a day on a book and then publish that book. So, from a Luciferian standpoint, I am doing exactly what I'm supposed to. I have taken back my soul, my spirit. I have declared myself truly free. I am true love. I am uh, uh, sovereign, and I have autonomy. I get to choose what I do and what I do not do. I choose what I believe and what I do not believe. I choose which direction I'm going in. I picked my own path. I am going to carve my own path, and that is by choice because that's what I want. And if I find a path that's pre-made that I enjoy, I will walk that, and I am not beholden to any of it. I can walk multiple paths because that's what I desire, and the second I want to drop them, I can drop them. I am truly sovereign and have autonomy. I can choose exactly what I want when I want, and the second I no longer want it, I drop it because that is what true autonomy is. And true love is not forcing your opinions, your views, your way onto the other person. So Lucifer, from my perspective, is true love because Lucifer never forces anything upon you. Everything must be of your true choice, your true will, and that includes not following him. That includes going in a different direction. If you want nothing to do with Lucifer, that is your right as well, and you're not punished for that. So that is true love, true freedom, true autonomy, true sovereignty. And ultimately, what it all comes down to is Lucifer's desire for you to recognize the divinity within yourself and that you are God. You not just that you are your own God, but you are God, that God and you are one. There is no separation between you and God, between you and Lucifer, between you and the angels and the demons or anything. Everything is inside of you. Everything is within you. Everything is in your mind. People sometimes that are skeptical would say all of this spiritual stuff is in your head. Well, it is in your head. It's inside your mind. But our minds are way bigger than we think and way more powerful than we think. For instance, we are not able to teleport. But if I told yourself to close your eyes, if I told you to close your eyes and imagine hovering right next to the sun, you're like a couple of like thousands of miles away from the sun, but you're hovering there and you're looking at the sun, gigantic as it is, and you're just hovering in outer space next to the sun or next to the planet. If you have good visualization skills, you can imagine that. So that means mentally within your mind, you can travel through space. You can go up to a star and go inside the star mentally, and you can visualize that. And if you get really good at visualizing where you're no longer just visualizing visually, you can actually invoke the sounds of the sun or the sounds of a certain thing or place. And you can hear what you're visualizing. You could smell and taste and feel what you're visualizing. So your mind is a lot more powerful than you think. And side note, you guys should probably be working on your visualization skills so that you're no longer just visualizing visually, but you can also visualize with the rest of your senses. And when you get really good at that, you could get to a point where you could visualize something in your mind and you're seeing it, hearing it, smelling it, tasting it, feeling it simultaneously, making it super immersive and making the experience way realer than you can possibly imagine. And yeah. All right. So that's enough. I've been talking for a really long time here. I hope 40 minutes isn't too long for you guys to pay attention to me. I'm really happy that some of you guys liked what I was doing. I posted a couple of videos the other days, and I got some views. I got some views, so I'm really happy about that. It's not a ridiculous amount of views, but like the fact that some of you guys chose to watch the video and comment and like what I was talking about is something that makes me happy because I really want to be able to produce these types of videos and talk about these topics with you guys. So I and just like to let you guys know, I was able to purchase a little camera, like um a webcam. So soon I will have that and my video quality will be better. And then I'm going to figure out what to do about sound to get better sound quality. So, hopefully within the next couple of weeks, the quality of the videos are going to be going up. And I'm going to start trying to structure my videos instead of just speaking from the heart. Like, I'm going to try to structure it a little bit better so that I can make a little more explainer information based videos so that y'all can understand some of the stuff that I'm talking about. So now if you guys watch this video and you like my conceptualization of Luciferianism and this form of Luciferianism that has nothing to do with being wicked or sinister or whatever, ask me questions. Ask me about other spiritual paths and practices and philosophies and psychological frameworks and whatever the hell, anything that comes to mind, just ask me about it. And if I feel that it's something that a lot of people would probably be wondering the same question, I'll make a full video on that topic specifically. So give me some ideas, guys. I wanna be able to explain this stuff, some of this stuff, but I don't know what exactly you guys are interested in knowing about. So just let me know what you guys think and what type of topics you want explained. I've been studying esotericism, mysticism, and occultism for over 15 years. I literally started at like around 16, 17 years of age when I was reading tons of books on Taoism and Buddhism, and I went on to learn a lot more about Christian mysticism and Hinduism and Tantra and all of this other stuff. Like I watched a lot of stuff on Jainism and Sikhism and Sufi and blah 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 blah. So I know quite a bit about all of the spiritual stuff and the philosophical stuff, and other topics, psychological stuff, so on and so on. So just drop a comment. Let me know what type of stuff you guys are interested in knowing about. And I will try my best to make a video explaining my position on that topic. And I will be explaining not. I'm. It's not really my place to explain the thing itself. From a like from a position where it's like this is what this thing is. It's more my position is more, this is my conceptualization of it, this is what I understand it is, and this is my viewpoints. Because whenever I study something, as I'm studying what it actually is, I ends up having my ideas and my way of looking at it, and it tends to morph and change into what is more understandable to me. Because whenever I study something and pick something up, my understanding of it is informed by all of the other things that I know. So whenever if if you tell me what is my understanding of Santa Muerte, it's going to be a little different from everybody else that is a devotee to Santa Muerte, because I'm aware of Santa Muerte's um, um, association with things that the average Santa Muerte devotee isn't aware of, like um, her being so similar to Kronos, to Saturn, to Bina, Bina from the Tree of Life, Saturn, like the Saturnian energy, Kronos, which is pretty much Saturn, um, and all of these other. ideas around death, energy, death current, death itself, the actual natural force of decay and entropy, so on and so on. So when I talk about Santa Muerte, from my perspective, I'm going to be talking about a lot of different things that the average Santa Muerte devotee isn't going to touch on, because not because they don't know enough, but simply they're coming at it from a more traditional standpoint, where they're probably not thinking about um Santa Muerte's association with these other understandings of death and time and change and transformation and renewal, and understandings like all these things, like yeah. So so I hope that illustrates what I'm trying to get at. And now I've been talking for way too long, so let's end this here. And I got to think of a good outro. I'm thinking to reminding you guys, live like you'll never die and die like you never lived. All right, guys, peace out.